Hello, this is Paulo coming back with the fourth episode of my podcast, Your Universal Friend. In this opportunity, I would love to address a topic that I consider quite relevant for us to be able to maintain our peaceful state of mind on a daily basis. This topic is being compassionate with negative people. If you remember the last episode of my podcast, I mentioned that we have two options when facing a problem. The first one is to be negative, and the second one is to be positive. The same happens when we face negative people. By negative people, I mean people who decide to criticize us, to offend us, to yell at us, or to hurt us. So, similar when facing a problem, we have two options. The first one is to be negative. That is, to get angry, to get sad, to get depressed, to feel disappointed, to have fear or to hate the other person. The second option is to remain positive. That is, to be patient and compassionate with this person. But how can we remain compassionate with people that hurt us? To do this, first we have to understand three important things. The first one is that people behave according to their level of healing. The second one is that people communicate according to their level of self-consciousness. The third one is that people love according to their level of self-love. So let's see the first one. What does it mean that people behave according to their level of healing? During our entire lives, we all go through difficult situations. We all get hurt at some point. These difficult situations cause wounds in our souls that are not easy to heal. Indeed, some of us try hard every day to heal our own wounds, but the success depends on many factors, such as our own character, our own personality, our strength, our motivation, and even our environment. Besides, the healing process doesn't happen from one day to the other. Often we need long periods of personal work to be able to heal those spiritual wounds. So this explains why so many people have real difficulties healing their own wounds, especially if they have developed with time what I will call an unconscious negative survival behavior. Let me give you an example. An aggressive man who was beaten up when being a child. In this example, the aggressiveness of this man is what I call an unconscious negative survival behavior. This behavior may have indeed appeared as some kind of desperate reaction to the difficult situation he was living in order to survive. In other words, unconsciously, this little boy may have concluded that if he didn't become aggressive himself, he wouldn't be able to survive the violence he was going through. Now, be careful, I'm not saying here that this reaction is good or bad. It is what it is. What I'm doing here is just giving an example of how our wounds can trigger what I call an unconscious negative survival behavior. So the current aggressiveness of this grown-up man is an unconscious negative behavior resulting from a survival desire. This kind of behavior complicates the process of healing because the man not only has to heal his spiritual wounds, but he also has to get rid of a negative conduct that has already been installed and integrated in his personality or even in his identity. So this is what I mean by saying that people behave according to their level of healing. I am obviously not explaining all this to justify the conduct of an aggressive person. And I am not suggesting that we should accept to get hurt by people that surround us. It is our responsibility to defend ourselves, to protect ourselves, and to demand respect from others. Not doing so would be a way of disrespecting ourselves. So, I am simply explaining all this for us to be aware of how difficult it may be for some people to heal their wounds. When we are aware of this, we can indeed be more compassionate when facing a negative person that tries to hurt us. So, instead of judging, hating, or cursing this person, I invite you to see in this negative person the little boy or the little girl this person used to be, and the little girl and the little boy who got hurt. I invite you to see in this negative person you have in front of you the grown-up adult who is still suffering and who is struggling to heal his or her own spiritual wounds. I invite you to not take personally the negativity this person is sending to you. Do not take it either as some sort of punishment, and most important, do not feel guilty for the attacks you receive. I emphasize this because some people tend to feel automatically guilty for, according to them, having caused the negative reaction in the other person. Remember that negative attitudes of other people do not depend on us, but on their own healing process. I invite you also to forgive the negative people that surround you. By negative people, I mean people who criticize you, who curse you, who hurt you, and who attack you in any way. And finally, I invite you to understand that even if a grown-up person is responsible for the healing of his or her own wounds, and thus for his or her own actions, this person deserves compassion. And I believe that if the universe has put you in the path of this person, it is maybe because you have the capacity to encourage, to guide, and to provide help for this person to be able to start a healing process. And if that's the case and you feel ready to help, just remember that to do this, it is important not falling into the trap of judging, hating, or cursing. You must remain neutral, patient, and compassionate in order to be able to help a negative person. I understand all this may sound crazy to you. I mean, to be compassionate with people that hurt us, to help people that are mean to us, to guide people who are ready to criticize us. But I truly believe that if we wish to evolve humanly and spiritually, we must indeed learn to be compassionate not only with people we love and who love us, but also with people we don't love and even with those who hurt us. So this is why it is so important to be aware that people behave according to their level of healing. This allows us to be more compassionate, patient, and understanding when facing negative people. And it also allows us not to take things too personally, and thus not developing negative feelings such as hate, anger, or fear as a response to the attacks of people that surround us. Next episode, I will be talking about the two other factors mentioned before that we need to take into consideration to develop compassion for negative people. Thank you for your time and for your attention. If you like my content, feel free to share with your closed ones. Talk to you soon. This is Paulo, your universal friend.